What's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, back with some more Draft League content. This week, bringing you guys my UPBA Season 1 Week Number 2 battle, where this week we take on Trogdor, coach of the Brooklyn Venonets. His link will be in the description down below. Be sure to check out his side of the battle, as well as the links to all the other coaches participating in the inaugural season of the UPBA. So, if you guys missed our week 1 battle, we took on John Jr. and his Portland Nightshaders, and we unfortunately came away with a tough 2-0 loss. So, not the best way to kick off the season, but it's not something that we can't bounce back from for sure. So, moving on to week number 2 here, like I said, we are taking on Trogdor and his Brooklyn Venonets, and his team consists of the Mega Mawile, Salamence, Raikou, Porygon 2, Vaporeon, Emboar, Celebi, Golurk, Tornadus Incarnate, and the Drapion, with his Z users being the Salamence and the Drapion. And as you see, the team that I am rocking for this battle, it is the exact same 6 Pokemon that I brought in the previous week. Nothing has changed except the order in which you see it on your screen. The sets obviously are different for this battle. So just to quickly go over the team that I am rocking for this week, before I go any further, I do want to give a shout out to both Judas, the guy who gens my teams for my Wi-Fi games. Can't thank him enough for all the work that he does behind the scenes. And I also want to give a shout out to Lantern Joe, the guy who records my Wi-Fi battles for me. Another big shout out. I'm not able to show off these battles without his help, so I can't thank those two enough for the work that they do in the back. So, as for the team that I'm bringing this week, I have a bulky Wish 3 attacks Mega Kangaskhan with a Wish, Return, Facade, and Earthquake. I have enough attack investment to guarantee to a KO a fully physically defensive Vaporeon after Stealth Rock with Return. And then Earthquake is just there so I can hit the Mega Mawile, and it's my best way of doing damage to the Golurk, which he did not bring. Next up is my Jirachi, which is a physically defensive set with Stealth Rock, Zen Headbutt, Fire Punch, and U-Turn, designed to be my dedicated switch in to Mega Mawile. I use that terminology kind of loosely, even though it's not really a good switch in. I do have Coldberry, so I can take a knockoff from the Mega Mawile if I need to, and then retaliate with a Fire Punch if I can. Zen Headbutt is my best neutral coverage option against his team, specifically there to deal damage to the Emboar and the Salamence, and U-Turn is nice to grab some momentum with enough speed to outspeed a non-Scarf Emboar, max HP, rest in defense. Then I have a Choice Scarf Garchomp with Dual Stab and a nice little tech in the back with I'm rocking Fling with Swords Dance. I really could not think of any other coverage option I needed to bring on my Garchomp outside of Dual Stab. So instead I decided to throw Fling on there because this is my way of revenge killing a +1 Salamence, as well as being my way of breaking through his bulkier mons, the Porygon 2 and the Vaporeon. So if I feel like I don't need my Choice Scarf anymore, I can just go for Fling, and then I can Swords Dance up and act as a wall breaker and a potential win con. This actually is going to be my win con in this game. Then next up I have a bulky Rocky Helmet Tornadus Therian with Hurricane, Heat Wave, Taunt, and U-Turn, with max HP and enough defense to guarantee live an Outrage from a Choice Scarf unboosted Salamence after Rocks. And then next up is my Adamant Choice Banded Passimian with Close Combat knockoff U-Turn, and originally I did have Rock Slide in the 4th move slot for the Salamence, but I since changed it to Quick Attack just so I can revenge kill a potential +1 Salamence if I get him into range, and I can just click quick attack and pick that thing off. And then lastly is my mixed defensive lefty Slowbro with Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Slack Off. This is my way of ensuring that Emboar cannot just freely spam its dual stab against my team with no hesitation. So this is mainly here specifically to keep that Emboar in check. So as for the team that my opponent is bringing in this matchup, he did bring the Mega Mawile, Salamence, Emboar, Tornadus, Incarnate, Raikou, and the Porygon 2. So right away, looking at team preview, I see that his only way of getting up rocks is with his Mega Mawile. That's the only Stealth Rocker he has on his team, and if he doesn't have rocks on that, obviously that's great for my Tornadus, it's great for my Jirachi. I can pivot in and out without having to worry about taking any chip damage, so that's great. Another thing to note is if I can get rid of the Mega Mawile early, I can spam Return and Facade pretty much unimpeded with my Mega Kangaskhan, no problem. And also looking at his responses to a couple of my mons, mainly my Passimian, as even though he does have two Pokemon that resist close combat in Salamence and the Raikou, he really does not appreciate switching into it, especially if I get a Defiant boost in any way, shape, or form. Like, this is a potential +1 Adamant Choice Band to close combat. You would have to be running a significant amount of physical defense to try to live 2 close combats from this thing, and that is not going to be an easy task in any way, shape, or form. So while I was very, very tempted to lead off with my Passimian just for the case of leading off with either the Salamence or the Mawile, I figured that my best lead would be the Kangaskhan, just on the off chance he decided to lead off with either the Porygon 2 or the Tornadus, because I feel like if he led off with the Tornadus and I led off with my Passimian, that would put me in a pretty bad spot in terms of a lead, and I would be forced to switch out, and I don't want to take a Hurricane turn 1, so that sort of stuff was going through my head as I was playing this game out. So let's just start the battle and see how we fare for this matchup. So we are being challenged by Pokemon Trainer Trogdor, as I'm going to lead off with Mama Mahomie, the Mega Kangaskhan. He's going to lead off with Many-Faced God, the Mega Mawile here. So right away, as he gets the Intimidate off on my Kangaskhan, I figured I'm just going to stay in turn 1, click Earthquake. I don't care if he switches out into Salamence. I do have my own pivot being my Slowbro, and I can just Ice Beam and all that stuff. But he's going to stay in here. He's going to Mega Evolve here, and I am just going to click Earthquake as I mentioned. So, like I said before during team preview, if I can get off any damage on this Mega Mawile, it makes it a lot easier for my Kangaskhan to just spam its normal stab later on in the game. As you see, I'm going to do a clean 70% to this Mega Mawile, as he actually is going to go for the Substitute, which surprised me a lot, which means that he whittled himself down for me, which is great, because now I go for Earthquake again turn 2, and not only am I going to break the sub of his Mega Mawile, the second hit's going to knock out the Mega Mawile. So right away, turn 2, Mega Mawile is down, and my Kangaskhan can essentially go to town against this team. So in comes the Emboar here, and this thing is screaming that it's a Choice Scarf variant. So I'm just going to make the switch out into my Slowbro, as he is just going to go for the Superpower, and it's going to do negligible damage to this Slowbro here. So now as I get my Leftovers recovery, I know for a fact he's not going to want to stay in with this Slowbro staring him in the face here. So I'm going to go for the Toxic here, expecting him to go out into either the Porygon 2 or the Raikou. He does make the aggressive play going out into the Raikou, as I can't take the thing out from one hit, as we are going to land the Toxic on this Raikou, essentially putting it on a timer. And now I have no reason to stay in on this Slowbro, and I'm not going to make the aggressive play and go out into my Garchomp. I'm just going to make the middle ground play and go out into my Jirachi here, because my Jirachi's role in this game is pretty much its use it's not useless, but its role is not that important right now because the Mega Mawile is down. So we eat up the Thunderbolt here. He reveals he is Life Orb, so he's further whittling himself down between the Life Orb recoil and the toxic damage. He is going to make the hard switch out into his Tornadus, as I'm just going to get up my rocks with my Jirachi here. So now I'm going to make the U-turn play, as he's actually going to reveal the Defog on the Tornadus. Pretty much, I guess he was fearing me bringing potential Hazard stack with the Greninja. So that's totally fine. I'm just going to make the safe U-turn play, and I'm going to go right out into my Mega Kangaskhan again. And with the Mega Mawile down so early, it really means that unless that's like a physically defensive Intimidate Rocky Helmet Salamence, he doesn't really have anything that wants to come in on a Parental Bond return, as he's going to make the U-turn play out into the Porygon 2 and trace my Parental Bond. I'm totally fine with this because this means I'm just going to fire off a return on this, and I am just going to get off a good chunk of damage, about 40-45%, judging from what it looks like there, as I am just going to throw up a Wish just on the off chance he decides to make the play like a toxic play, but he's just going to go for the recover here, get back up to full HP. I'm totally fine with that. I'm just going to go for another return here and just get some damage on this thing, get him back to the same amount of health he had before he went for a recover here. And now he's going to go for the Thunder Wave and paralyze my Kangaskhan, which is both good and bad. It's bad in the sense that I am no longer faster than this thing, but it's good because of the fact that I can now go for Facade against this Porygon 2 and do even more damage to this thing, barring I do not get fully paralyzed, and as you see, we do not, and the Facade is doing roughly half to this Porygon 2, which is fantastic. So barring another full para here, we are able, if we get the roll, we can knock out the Porygon 2 with the next Facade as it goes for the Ice Beam. We don't get fully parried, and the Facade 2-hit combo is going to take out the Porygon 2. So down goes the P2, Mega Kangaskhan putting in the work early on in this matchup. So back out comes the Emboar. While I could have made the safe play, go on the Slowbro again, I'm going to make the middle ground play again, and this time go out into my Jirachi and essentially just sack that thing off as he goes for the superpower here. And now I'm just going to go for a Zen Headbutt here and get some information confirming whether or not this thing is indeed Choice Scarf, which he does show to be. So I'm going to sack off my Jirachi here, which does suck a little bit, but like I said, Jirachi's role in this game was mitigated when the Mega Mawile went down. But I get to go now into my Banded Adamant Passimian, and he's at -2 defense, so he's forced to switch. And in comes the Tornadus, and this is an Adamant Choice Banded Close Combat. As you see, that does a crap ton of damage to this Tornadus. Like if I got a Defiant Boost at some point, this probably would have died, but in any case, he reveals he's leftovers. This is more of a bulkier Tornadus. I don't want to take a Hurricane from this Tornadus, so I'm just going to go out into my own Torn, as he's going to go for the Tailwind here, which kind of sucks, but it's not that big of a deal considering the fact that I can stall out this Tailwind pretty easily, as he's going to go for the Taunt here. I'm guessing he was expecting me to go for like a Taunt on my own, or a Defog, or whatever the case may be. I'm not entirely sure about that play, but I am going to land my Hurricane, and we're going to knock off the Tornadus, his own Tornadus with the Hurricane. In comes the Raikou, which is now faster than me. I am now going to switch out and go out into my Passimian, essentially sack that thing off, because I know I can take one hit from a Life Orb Raikou, no problem. As he goes for the T-Bolt, we live on 27. He takes the Life Orb recoil and he takes the poison damage. And now I'm just going to go for a quick attack, get some more chip on this Raikou. And then he's going to finish me off with the next T-Bolt, which is fine, because while my Passimian does go down here, he's going to take the Life Orb recoil, he's going to take the poison damage, and the Tailwind's going to peter out, which allows me to go out into my Scarf Garchomp. I am just going to fire off a Dragon Claw here. No reason for me to click any other move here, as we're going to take out the Raikou with the Dragon Claw. And now he's going to go out into his Salamence here, and he's going to reveal to not be Intimidate. He is Moxie. I'm going to go for Dragon Claw again, and we're going to knock this thing out. So he pretty much was essentially showing that he had no bulk on this Salamence, and I got the roll in my favor. And all he has left now is this Emboar, which is going to be hard-walled by my Slowbro because he cannot lock himself into any one move that can take out the rest of my team. Because if he locks himself in the Wild Charge, I just go right back out on the Garchomp and I win 4-0. His best bet is to just basically get like crits with all his Flare Blitzes and somehow lives the recoil to take out 4 Pokemon at once. So yeah, that's unfortunately not going to be the case here, as I'm just going to be able to click Scald 2 times with my Slowbro, and we are going to pick up a very, very solid 4-0 win in this game over the Brooklyn Venonets and Trogdor. So yeah, very fun game, very wire-to-wire match, all things considered. I felt like I played this game exceptionally well in terms of choosing my sacks, picking my sacks very optimally as best as I could. Unfortunately, I didn't get to show off the tech with my Garchomp, but save that for another time, I guess. So yeah, like I said, really nice 4-0 win. Very nice bounce back from our week 1 loss. Really happy about how the way this team performed. Really fun game overall. GG to Trogdor. Please be sure to check out his side of the battle. I'm sure he has a lot of insight into why he made the plays he made, and which I'm really curious about watching myself. So with that, we move on. We pick up our first win of the season, moving on to 1-1. Did make some slight transactions heading into my week 3 game against the Star City Archers, coached by Mid Pokemaster, in which I unfortunately dropped Slowbro and I dropped Rotom, and in exchange I picked up Seismitoad and I picked up Electros. Basically, these transactions, while I do lose 2 fighting checks or fighting resists and resistant immunity. In this case, I do gain an extra Stealth Rocker, another ground type, and basically a ground type not weak to ice. In Seismitoad, it gives me another knockoff user, so one more thing to get rid of potential Rocky Helmet users from Mega Kangaskhan. That would be fantastic. It gives me another Stealth Rocker, so I don't have to bring rocks on my Jirachi or my Garchomp. And what Electros does, it also has access to knockoff, so giving me another means of getting rid of items. It gives me, and more importantly, it also gives me a slow pivot, being able to go for Volt Switch or U-Turn. On top of that, getting access to self-healing move, Giga Drain and Drain Punch, and while maintaining my electric typing and giving me a slow offensive pivot, which is great paired up with the fast offensive pivots I have already. My Torn, my Jirachi, my Greninja, all fast mons with access to U-Turn out into my wall breakers. So yeah, really fun team so far. And hopefully we can make these changes work heading into our week 3 game. So that's going to be it from me, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, be sure to check out my opponent in the description down below. And that's going to be it from me. So until the next time, guys, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.